Coach, how you doing, Coach? Coach, I'll die for you, Coach. I just want you to believe in me. I just wanted you to believe in me. Let's go to the Lions.
And they basically told me if I'm there, it's a possibility they're going to take me. So I had my phone right next to me, ringer on all the way up. Kept checking it, I was nervous, but when I got that call, it was just, I don't even know how to describe it, the feeling.
The Lions take one of my favorite players in this draft class, Isaac Tesla out of Arkansas. I'm giving this an A+. Almost 6'4", 214 pounds, ran a 4.43 at the combine.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live, Coach Dan, by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank you all for joining us here today. Hey, it's Lions Talk Live. It's a Thursday. It's getting after it. It's, several days after the NFL draft, and you're starting to get more and more reports, breakdown videos, analyzation, NFL Network, ESPN, whoever you're talking about it. They're having some time now to really dive into each of these picks for every team in the NFL, not just the Detroit Lions. And yes, we're finding out more and more information about what the Detroit Lions, Brad Holmes, tried to do in the draft, trading up potentially to the number 5 pick with the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's also news that came out yesterday that suggests that the Lions were in heavy negotiations for the number 9 pick to try to move up and get another player of interest, another defensive edge prospect. So even though I know Lions fans were less than excited during the draft about the Lions not going after an edge, it sounds like Brad Holmes was trying to make it work, just didn't get there. Today's video, as you can probably tell from the thumbnail for here, Lions rolled the dice a little bit on one of the biggest unknowns in the draft. And we're going to go into this during the main topic of the day. You can have the mindset they overpaid to get this particular player or draft selection. You can also say, hey, it wasn't nothing. Look at what they got out there. What we can all probably agree upon is Brad Holmes in this front office, this scouting department, has hit on a whole lot of mid-late round picks versus the NFL average. Brad Holmes, during his time with the Rams and now with the Lions, you know what? He's got a pretty good eye for. He's got an eye for talent, let alone the wide receiver position. We have done a little bit more breaking down. I gave you guys some information on Tesla during the draft and then after the draft, because I already did have some information about him. But now we're going to dive into that a little bit more and see what you guys have to say about it. All right, real quick, before we get into the 5 headlines now, before we get into the main topic of the day, all those things, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making that march for 13,700 subs, and we're only 34 subs away from that. So if you can help out with that, that would be most welcomed and awesome of you. Also, if you have a half second of time, reach on down. It doesn't cost a dime. Go ahead and click that thumbs up button, that like button, all the buttons. We try to get every episode of the show between 200, 300, 400 or more thumbs up or likes. So if you can assist with that, I would be thankful. Last but never least, if you are considering buying or selling property anywhere in the great state of Michigan, let alone the continental United States, go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text. You see the number on the screen, 269-998-2384. We can have a quick conversation, see what we can do to save you some time, save you some money, save you some issues. Make sure that you're not being overcharged, gouged by any lender or individual. So go ahead and give me a call. I've been in the industry for over 30 years, and hey, I'll do everything I can to try to make this, the screen is coming down. Try to make it as easy on you as possible while you're selecting potentially your new home. And hey, thankfully the screen didn't go down. All right, with all that done said and out of the way, let's get the show rocking and rolling and going. In the first segment, as you know, is 5 headlines now. All right, 5 glorious headlines coming your way in the morning. All right, we got Detroit Lions may have attempted. We talked about this just a moment ago. Trade up for Shamir Stewart. This is coming from SB Nation, story by Drew Garrison. And this is being widely reported from not just Drew Garrison, but other outlets too. Lions were trying to make a trade. It sounds like they've tried to move up to a couple different spots. Can't confirm at any of these potential landing spots who they're going to take. We do have reports about the number 5 overall pick. We got reports about the number 9 pick. And yes, the number 15 overall pick. If you guys remember, In my very first, I did 3 mock drafts for the Detroit Lions. My first one, I had us trading up to number 15 to get a player of interest. No, I did not have Stewart as that person, but the Cincinnati Bengals selected Stewart with the 17th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, and it was, hey, if you're a fan of the Cincinnati Bengals, you probably liked the pick. You might not have liked the pick. I'm not here to talk about the Bengals, but we get it. Lions have talked about, and Brad Holmes did come out and say recently that he tried to make up to about 30 different trades. We're starting to get reports about a few of them. Could have been that the Lions were willing to trade up to get the 15th pick with the Atlanta Falcons. It does appear that's the case. What the package would have been, we don't know that at that time, or at this time, and I don't know if we'll ever know it. But what say you? We all know who we got in Tyleik Williams at the 28th pick. Would you have been okay with the Lions moving up? I think number 5, you would probably had to give up a whole lot of stuff to get. Probably you could say that with number 9 too. 15, I think, especially in this year's draft, it would have probably worked out. And would you have to give up some stuff? Sure. Would you have to break the bank? Probably not. Would you have been okay with the Lions moving up to number 15 and getting Shamir Stewart? Or do you think we did the best thing and just stay at 28 and keep that pick? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, but my personal opinion doesn't have to be your opinion. I think we did well in either situation. Stewart would probably quiet a lot of the fans, probably would have taken care of the edge a little bit. Well, the Lions do have a gluttony, and I mean a gluttony of talent at the defensive tackle position, especially the DTI and DTS. So, hey, here's what I can say. DJ Reader's probably going to play his butt off this year, knowing that, hey, he's got to get a contract either with Detroit or somewhere else next year. So you're probably getting him at an ideal situation where he does have to play his best and probably is going to have to play hurt at times. Lee McNeil, we all get it. It's going to be out for a little time. Williams seems like the real McCoy or the real deal. The Lions are probably going to be good with him for several years to come. You got Roy Lopez, Adams, amongst others, maybe even Broderick Martin, who knows. But the Lions, could they have lost in this situation staying at 28 or going to 15? I don't think so, but I do like the fact that Brad Holmes was trying to address different areas of need. All right, moving on to the next of the 5 headlines now. Detroit Lions make significant change to offseason schedule. SI.com, story by John Macaron. You probably knew this was going to happen because for those who don't know, and I'm assuming there's still some people out there who don't know it, Lions are going to start the preseason extra early by NFL standards because they are going to be in the Hall of Fame game in the end of July. When other teams are really just getting going on training camp, Lions are already going to be a week or two into it because of this event. I think it's a big win for the organization. I've gone on record before saying this because the new OC and DC, and you're going to get a couple extra weeks of it. But because of this, Lions are going to have to shimmer up, or I guess you could say kind of adjust some other aspects to their camps. Rookie minicamp, Detroit's Lions rookie minicamp is scheduled to take place May 9th through 11th. Detroit drafted 7 prospects and signed 11 undrafted free agents. We'll have some more news on that during the 5 headlines now. Reporters have been that the first opportunity to evaluate the young prospects, you get that during minicamp, but because of the early preseason game for the Lions, according to Article 22 of the Collective Bargaining Agreement, this stipulates clubs may hold 1 mandatory minicamp for veteran players. The minicamp, noted below, must occur during Phase 3 of the offseason program. In a nutshell, I'm not going to walk you through the entire paragraphs of this, but the Lions are going to have to kind of remove that mini camp for the vets in order to start training camp a couple weeks early so they can accommodate the NFL Hall of Fame preseason game. I do think this would be the ideal year for the Lions to break trend, get some of the vets out there during the Hall of Fame game, even if it's just a series or 2. In my opinion, and I can only give you to this as a longtime coach, I'd like to see them, hey, that first game, 1 or 2 series, offense, defense, get them out there. The next preseason game, 1 series for both the starters, the expected starters on offense and defense. After that, let everybody sit, let them stay healthy for week 1. But I think if you watch the Dan Campbell experience during his time in Detroit, you do see on a regular basis where we kind of struggle a little bit, don't look very fluid, week 1, 2, and you can maybe even argue week 3 of the regular season. If it's me, knowing the schedule, knowing the opportunities you have here, knowing that you need to get the new OC, DC on the same page with the players, I would take advantage of that with the extended, now 4-game training camp for the Lions. Let's see what they do. All right, Brad Holmes, Isaac Tisla was my favorite receiver in the draft. NBC Sports, story by Josh Aper. You've probably seen this by now. This came out a couple days ago. I'm throwing it in here just simply because guess what the main topic of the day is? It's going to be Isaac Tisla in that trade and what you're seeing more and more from him. I think now that we've had some time to digest it all, what you can probably assume from watching Tisla out there is why Brad Holmes fell in love with him. Brad Holmes has an ideal vision, along with MCDC, what the Detroit Lions are as a franchise, what a Detroit Lions player is. When you watch a number of these draft picks this year, I think it holds water from all of them, what you got out there. Hey, everybody uses the term grit now. Well, these guys all have it. Tisla, for a number of different reasons, wasn't widely known across the NFL, but when he got invited to the Senior Bowl, maybe most of you don't know this, he was really only invited or brought in because a couple other people got injured, which created some openings. He was allowed to now come in. During that experience, during that time of being there at the Senior Bowl, Tisla made an impression on Brad Holmes and a number of other NFL GMs. But strange as it may seem now, not everybody did know about him. We'll dive into that, like I said, more during the main top of the day. All right, next, the 5 headlines. Detroit Lions signed former Northwestern running back after NFL draft Northwestern Wildcats on SI.com. Story by Galvin Dorsey. So the Lions continue to add players. You guys have probably seen some of the undrafted free agents who've been brought on in. This is the next one out there. Anthony Trey Tyus III. Hey, this guy's got some abilities. You may want to go check out some of his highlights. I don't know if he's going to make the roster because the Lions are so deep across the board, seemingly at every position, let alone running back. But over 3 seasons with the Wildcats, Titus played in 31 games and averaged 4.2 yards per carry. While his counting stats were limited as he split action with Evan Hall and Cam Porter, Titus made his snaps matter and earned a reputation for being a bruising running back on the ground. He finished his Wildcat career with 504 yards rushing, 3 total touchdowns. So is he going to dent the lineup? I don't know, but he is going to create competition. We talked about that, I think, on yesterday's show. When you look at this Lions rookie class, what does it bring to the table? And whether it's the drafted rookies or undrafted rookies, I think you're seeing a lot of stout players come on in, and you're going to create a big competition battle at seemingly every spot on this team, and this guy's going to continue to do that. You're starting to even see or get reports for undrafted free agents who turned down Detroit, even though they're pretty good players, because they didn't think they could ultimately make the squad here. And I get they have to make a choice for themselves, the best interest. I don't remember the player's name. There was one defensive back who turned down the Detroit Lions to go to the 49ers because when he looked at the Lions roster, he's like, man, I don't know if I can make that team. So he wanted to put in his time and effort somewhere else. The fact that Titus came on and joined the Detroit Lions, I like that because he obviously everybody can see David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, probably Craig Reynolds, and whoever else, Sion Vaki, whoever else you want to throw on that list, Jamar Jefferson, etc. But this kid's coming in knowing he's fighting an uphill battle, and he's looking at that battle and saying, I can do it. I can win a spot here. I'm not going to the Giants or a couple of the other teams listed. I feel like I can make the 53-man roster with the Detroit Lions. Give him praise and credit, man. The kid's coming in with guns blazing. I like it already. All right, last of 5 headlines now. Grade the trade proposal. Lions finally make a move to add a proven edge rusher. Sideline report by Brad Berryman. I'm not so sure about this one, but hey, I won't ever rule things out. So Berryman, after talking with 97.1 The Ticket, Jim Costa, amongst others, he does have a conversation about he thinks the Lions could be in play later in training camp or early in training camp, somewhere around that time, about potentially making a trade with the Carolina Panthers. And for those who don't know, it would be for a veteran edge rusher. ESPN's Dave Newton also thinks this could be a possibility. And if this would be so, it'd be for Javanian Clowney. I get he's a little bit older, still has some gas in the tank. Would you rather have him or Zadarius Smith? I'm not here to debate. My personal opinion, Brad Holmes has already come out and said, hey, we've made Smith an offer. I'm paraphrasing here. This is more or less what he said. It's in his court. I think Zadarius Smith is going to end up being a Detroit Lion. It's just, hey, he's 32. He wants to have a summer off. He doesn't want to go through all the dog days, I guess you'd say, of training camp. He's probably going to try to sign with the Lions maybe about week 2 of training camp or the preseason games to come on in, and he's probably going to be okay by doing that. To this report, though, Giovanni and Clowney, could he come on over to the Detroit Lions maybe for a 7th-round pick or something like that? Or maybe a swap for, hey, we're going to cut this guy anyways. We'll give you him for Clowney. Something like that could go down. We'll have to wait and see. But my initial thoughts when looking at this report from Brad Berriman, Lions probably aren't going to trade for somebody. They're probably just going to get Smith back. We'll wait and see, though. All right, with that all said, done, out of the way, let's get on over to the main topic of the day. All right, main topic of the day. You probably could tell from the thumbnail, this is about what the Lions did to roll the dice on Isaac Tisla. Hey, some of you guys really liked this move when it went down. Some of you didn't. I'm not here to debate that. What I am here to say is when you look at his scores, we all get it. In the history of the NFL, or at least since they kept Reyes scores in 97 to the current times, he's like the 27th highest graded Reyes wide receiver in NFL history. Let that sink in, man. There's been some dang good wide receivers from 1987 until now. And the fact that he's in the top 30, I mean, that just jumps out on paper. You look at his size, you look at his mass, you look at his, explosion, you look at his 40 time, you look at his vertical leap. I mean, you get it. You look through all the numbers, and he's just a rare human being when it comes to all that. Now, when you watch his run blocking, he puts people to the ground. And we can debate all the metrics of him until the end of time. What we can say is the Lions have rolled the dice a little bit with this kid. They gave up a gajillion 3rd-round picks to acquire him. And yes, I get it. They got, some draft capital back. Obviously, the pick in which they selected him, they got 2 6th-round picks. So he kept the same amount of draft picks. I'm a big fan of that. I've talked about that ad nauseum over the years on this show. I'm going to make a trade. I want another pick back for that pick I'm giving you, even though I get it's going to be a lower one. I still have the same amount of draft picks or capital, just at different values. Brad Holmes has a long history. When you look at his time with the Rams, we all get it. He found Cooper Kupp, somebody that, or he played a role in helping finding Cooper Kupp. Not going to give him all the credit in the world on it, but he did definitely play a part in it. You look at the Lions. Hey, he rolled the dice big time on Jameson Williams, a guy with a torn ACL. I get there were a lot of Lions fans year 1 of the JMO experience, the year 2 that said, this is starting to look like a bust. But he turned it around, got things right, recovered from the injury, et cetera, et cetera. JMO's been a big win for us. We can all name the find that was Amon-Ra St. Brown and say, hey, you found this kid. Everybody else turned him down. Heck, the kid can recite all 16 receivers chosen ahead of him. And I think nowadays, if you had to redo the wide receiver draft from that draft class, Amon-Ra St. Brown, if he's not number 1, he's going to be in the top 3. So we get it. Could Isaac Tisla be the next Brad Holmes find? There's going to be a lot of pressure on Brad Holmes, and to be fair, unfortunately, probably on Isaac Tisla because of that trade. You go up 3 3rd-round picks to get one guy at number 70 in the 3rd round, that's going to raise some eyebrows. It raised it with a lot of people in the Duke crew. It raised it with the national beat reporters, media reporters, YouTube reporters, whatever you want to say, journalists, whatever format you want to say. People are up in arms about this. This kid's not going to be oblivious to it. He's going to come into training camp with probably some raised expectations because of it. It's going to put some pressure on him and Brad Holmes. If this doesn't work out, Brad Holmes is going to face some firing from, I'm not going to say get fired, but he's going to have people throwing stones at him. How about that? Because of it, especially if this year Broderick Martin doesn't work out, because now you're starting to get a reputation for 3rd-round gambles that don't pan out. You could probably all get why we made the move for Broderick Martin. You probably get why we made the move for Isaac Tisla. The Lions want to get bigger, faster, and stronger everywhere. And you see that throughout this year's draft class. I think they did a great job with that. They are trying to get the most athletic people that have the right mindset for them. What are your thoughts and expectations now that you've had, whatever it's been, 5 days to kind of digest the information regarding this kid? Have you checked out some video on him? I've gone on record since the moment he was drafted, the next morning when we did the show, I said, hey, I think we're all going to be pretty happy. It would be my anticipation. I'm not going to give him a gold jacket and say he's going to be a Hall of Famer, but I do think he's got all the building blocks that a coach would look for and say, I can't teach that. I can't teach that. I can't do this or that with anybody. I can teach skills. I can teach mechanics. I can't teach personality. The kid's got the right personality, just like seemingly all the draft picks this year. He's got, the fact he never dropped a pass in college, let that sink in. The dude's got vice grips. He might have Stickum. If you're old enough to remember what Stickum was, on wide receivers close. But he's got, if the ball gets to him, it's not getting jarred loose. It's not getting knocked down. He is going up and getting it. He's got a massive vertical leap. And the fact that he runs basically a 4.4 40-yard dash at 6'4", 220 pounds. I mean, there's a lot of tight ends that aren't that big. And the fact he's got that kind of mass, that kind of mentality, that kind of vertical, that kind of, speed, there's a whole lot to like about him, but he is a bit of unknown. In Arkansas, I get it. They didn't have a great quarterback. They didn't have, I don't think they had the most ideal game plan, but hey, if you don't have a quarterback, it's going to be hard to be a wide receiver. Could you be a year or two from now and look back and say, if this kid would have played with a more prominent quarterback in college during his senior year, he probably would have been a second round or maybe even a first round pick? I think there's some conversation to be had when it comes to that, because his numbers would have jumped out a little bit more, which means he probably would have been a little bit bigger target for the Senior Bowl. He probably would have had a little bit more national spotlight on him. Really, it came down to just a happenstance moment. Think about this. It was just roll the dice moment that a couple other people got hurt, allowed this kid to get to the Senior Bowl, and then Brad Holmes just happened to see him do a couple drills out there and said, man, I need to learn more about this kid. But that's part of scouting, finding the diamonds in the rough, finding what other people have missed. And you could even throw some shade at the Detroit Lions organization to a certain degree and say the scouts there missed him because they didn't know really about him that much until they got to the Senior Bowl. But also let it sink in. You could say that for every NFL team because that seems to be the national, take on this kid. That really, while he played in Arkansas, he had some nice numbers, averaged 19 and a half yards a reception. The size, obviously, you can see that once he walks on the field. But not a lot of national scouts, nor media, nor experts, whoever you want to say, knew anything about him until he got to the Senior Bowl. And that's when more and more attention started to be thrown at him. All right, I probably rambled on way too long about this, but I do think this could either really make the Lions offense damn dangerous next year and for the next 2 or 3 years, or it could be another big dud for the Lions organization. Assuming Broderick Martin doesn't pan out, then you're probably looking at a potential second one. All right, what say you do, crew? Let me know in the comments section. Let me scroll to the top of the screen and get over to you. I really like the gamble. I also understand we gave up a lot for him. I love the fact we get 3 draft picks. We gave up 3 draft picks. Yes, the value has changed, and I love everything about his upside. But let me know your thoughts about him. Do you think he's going to make it? Do you think he's going to fail? Do you think he's going to be Hall of Famer? Do you think he's going to be a journeyman wide receiver? Let me know in the comment section. Non-laughers, good morning. Duke crew, starting lineup, exclamation point, back at you. Biggity, greetings, salutations, Duke crew and coach, exclamation point. The more I'm learning about the this draft class, the more I'm understanding why we selected these players. Tesla really shows up on film. I think he could be a week 1 weapon. He could be, man. I mean, if he does really develop week 1 or over the preseason, then yeah, I don't have super high expectations the first month or 2 of the season. I think just about every rookie needs some time to develop, and he should be amongst that list. But let's also be fair. He's got metrics and things none of us can teach that could come into play. Detroit D, greetings, salutations, Lions, Duke, Lions Den, and Duke crew. Back at you, D. Good to see you this morning. Drake, morning in the non-laughers. Big Eddie, Detroit D. How will defenses hold up against all of our weapons? Question mark. The only thing I can see is get to Goff. Yeah, to your point, with Gibbs, Dave Montgomery, Laporta. I mean, we all get it, man. There's so many weapons here. You've got to get to Jared Goff and get him rattled, get the ball out of his hands before he can find one of these guys. Bo, good morning, Duke crew. 2 or 3 years today, I'm satisfied. Woo, I'm down with that. Detroit D, everyone seems to forget defense wins championships, and I think our defense is going to be pretty dang good. Remember, before all the injuries last year, we were, I want to say, number 1 in the NFL. Then when Derek Barnes got hurt, we fell to number 5. When Hutch got hurt, along with Barnes and everybody else, well, I think we all know the story by now. Frank Tank, what up, to all the Duke crew, one pride, grit, woo, go Lions. Good to see you this morning, Frank Manbear. Good morning, back at you. Frank the Tank, in 2 years, Tesla will be all pro, go Lions. I think you could be correct on that. Very correct. Clark, I was reading yesterday, Brad might look to pick up an edge or 2 around the 53 cut down, sort of like last year with receiver. Thoughts? So for those who don't remember, Lions really only had 3 receivers on the roster going into the 53-man cut down. I think Brad Holmes kind of had a game plan to add some depth to the wide receiver room from other teams who had a gluttony of wide receivers. I think you could be right with that, Clark. I think there's some potential that we could go ahead and add one or two edge rushers when they get released from other teams. Bo, I wouldn't be surprised, Clark. No, me either, man. Me either. Remember, how about a Dan Skipper? Woo! Yeah, I still got to clip that thing, so I will work on that and get it on over to you. At least for now, what I'll do is give you a different woo. You know, maybe since we don't have Sheila in the opening monologue anymore or intro. Maybe I'll have to put that in the next intro. Let of the Hunt, true. But a good defense without a top offense doesn't win championships either. Maybe one of every 10 seasons need to be a top 10 in both, preferably top 5. I'm down with that. I like the way you're thinking. Jess, a serious question for the crew. I think Holmes would go undefeated in an MMA tournament against all the other NFL GMs. Tell me I'm wrong. You know, it's a great question. I don't really know. I know John Lynch still keeps himself in pretty good shape. I'm trying to think if there's another NFL GM that could go toe-to-toe with ours. I'm not so sure there is. Frank, think in 2 years, I'm in all pro goal lines. I like that idea. I think that kid, I know everybody's kind of jumping on that bandwagon with him and saying that, you know, hey, he's going to run through a wall. We all get it. The kid's going to come in guns blazing, and I don't think you could ask for much more. He's going to need some time to develop for sure, but I think he's got everything, sort of like we're talking about with Tisla, that you can't teach. So, hey, I think that's a good part to start with. Hey, Mark, good morning, Coach Dan Dooku. What a team. What a podcast. What a time be a Lions fan. Woo! Back at you, Henry. Hopefully you're having a good day. Bo, Jess, so with Stephanie. There you go. Yeah. Probably win some MMA fights there. That's true. Rank Tank, 2 guys I see getting in starting lineup by week 5 this year are Tisla and Ahmed. Go Lions. Ooh, could they both make it in the starting 5? I mean, I think if that happens, we're all looking at this draft class and going, man, Brad and the scouting department, they need some free Mountain Dews at the Circle K because they would have knocked the cover off the ball. Miles Barr, greetings, salutations, coach, crew. Still no internet back here in the woods, but have cell reception for the moment. So listening in, man, Miles Barr, I feel bad for you and everybody up north. I said, man, what's it been over a month now that you guys have been going through this? Thoughts and prayers to you. Hopefully you get it back soon. Troy D, if this Tesla kid is half as good as Ed McCaffrey, I'll give Brad a pass on the pick. Would like to have seen more competition on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah, and I think that's where everybody's going to go with it. If this pick needs to work out, or people will start wondering and questioning about Brad Holmes. You know, I love the move up to get Broderick Martin. I've gone on record saying that before. Unfortunately, not every draft pick works out. If Tesla doesn't work out, then, you know, you start seeing a trend emerging. But right now, the Broderick Martin experience has been an asterisk, not a trend. So I'll go with that. And I think we're all going to like the Tesla kid. All right, server. Good morning, Coach. And everyone. Back at you. Frank Tank. Free throw, everybody. All right, I'll go with that. I'm not sure, FT. I'm not sure. I'll have to get back to that. Free throws, what comes to my mind as a basketball coach. 11th, if the players the Lions currently have do not get injured, they have a great defensive line. They also add Zadarius Smith, then it becomes superior. Yeah, I do think he's going to be back. At least that's where my mind is. Frank Ting, waiting y'all see Tesla in the lineup. Punch information standing up, of course, with Laporta. It will be an epic. Go Lions. Yeah, with all the weapons we have, he gets out there, Tim Patrick gets out there, Khalif Raymond. They're just going to have a lot of matchup problems, I think, for most defenses. Trey, what's good, everyone? Question mark. We've got a lot of weapons on the O, and now it would seem depth on that line. We could be good for a while offensively. Yeah, I fully agree. We're getting younger on the offensive line. I didn't exactly agree with reports saying we had one of the oldest offensive lines. Zettler left, so that instantly makes us younger. I do think Christian Mahogany, Miles Frazier, or Tate Ratledge, one of them are going to start. Maybe 2 of them are going to start at guard. That's going to make us a whole lot younger. And you look at Penei Sewell, he is only like 23 or something like that. So we got 2 out of the 5 that are a little bit older, and eventually I think we're going to replace them. All right, Henry, say shows the best character on the planet? Question mark. Say staying dry. I hope. I see the cardiologist for the final prognosis today. Woo! Well, thoughts and prayers for you, my friend. Hopefully it all goes well. And just for you, let's give you a hope it all goes well. Sending you some prayers. Stephanie, good morning, boys. Exclamation point. It's hard to bet against Holmes. Look at what his draft classes have done, both here and the Rams. No reason to believe Tesla won't be another great fight. Yeah, 100%. The history, the trend, with wide receivers for Brad Holmes, especially in the middle rounds, have all been pretty good. Bo, good luck, Henry. 100%. Silver Server, agree with Big Eddie and Tesla contributing right away. But I have noticed that Lions value veterans, so most likely Patrick to begin with, but they will start throwing the ball to Tesla in preseason. Yeah, they want to see what they have with them. They're going to give him some time. I would go with your thoughts on that, Silver Surfer, that Tim Patrick right now is probably the number 3 receiver. He's been there. He's done that. He did a great job last year. But in time, probably Tesla is going to get some reps for sure. France, long day at work here, unwinding with a bit of Lions Talk Live. Any updates on Wingo, McNeil, and other injuries? Lee McNeil did put out some social media content or videos showing that he is, recovering. I still think he's probably looking at somewhere around Thanksgiving. I hope it's earlier for him, but somewhere around Thanksgiving when he returns. Wingo, I haven't really heard anything about with. The only other person that really comes to mind at this point, since we all know Hutchinson appears to be, totally fine, would be Rodrigo. And my guess is he's probably on a little bit sooner time frame than a Lee McNeil. Maybe he'll be back end of October. Susan, best wishes, Henry Moore, praying for good results, 100%, Silver Server, and see what he does with it. If he catches everything and more, then Isaac might start, but it would be really exceptional. Yeah, I don't think for week 1 he'll start, but you could be right. Maybe he just slams at home and becomes clearly the number 3 receiver right off the bat. Gary, morning crew, back at you. Silver Server, good morning, Stephanie. 5 fingers ready. He is indeed one of the biggest receivers, and yes, an unknown. Let's get to know him more. Yes, 100%. 5 fingers. Bo, every guy has to work their way into the rotation. I don't see anyone getting force-fed the ball. No, I think the coaching staff, this coaching staff is going to make everybody, any position, earn what they eat. 70, good morning, Silver Server. Johnny L., good morning to you, Coach, and the rest of the crew. Back at you, Johnny. Making a great day. Trim Reaper, good morning, Coach, and the notorious Duke crew. Woo! And may it be a great morning for you. Jessica, sorry if this is a dumb question. Why does someone like a Tesla, such an unknown to many prior to the draft, his scores just pop off the page? I think it's a multitude of reasons why many didn't know about him. He started at Hillsdale College. For those who don't know, it's a smaller school in a more rural area of Michigan. Then he does go to Arkansas. But unfortunately for Arkansas, I don't want to throw shade at any player on the team. Let's just say their offense could have been better if a couple players performed a little bit better. And unfortunately for a wide receiver, you are somewhat beholden when people look at your numbers for production to a particular position doing well. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. I'm not trying to throw any shade. Trim Reaper, how about them Pistons? Exclamation points. Oh, yeah, I'll be rooting for them tonight. I have to imagine the NBA is going to try to, they're not going to try to throw the game, but if there's any questionable calls, especially late in the game, considering what happened last time at the Little Caesars Arena, I almost said the Palace, that they're going to try to help the Pistons out. Because let's be honest, they probably understand in hindsight the Pistons got hosed on that last second call or non-call, so they probably will try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Trey, that's a good question, Jess. There you go. Bo, Arkansas doesn't have much attention either. No, they didn't draw national media, but scouts were there from the Lions and other teams. Unfortunately, not everybody gets noticed right away. You could say, look at a lot of the Lions players that have worked out in later rounds and say, man, somebody didn't really have a great feel for that player. So small long. Who was the best draft value pick? ? We gave up a lot for this receiver from Whoville, so I'll rule him out. I would say probably Miles Frazier. You got him at number 5. You look at the trade value chart too. And to me, that was as even a trade as he could. I mean, he gave up 2 picks in the later rounds for 2 picks to move up. I really like that trade, and I do think he could come in and impress. I don't know if he's going to start as a rookie or anything like that, but I think a year or 2 from now, we're going to be looking at that selection and say, man, we really did well there. Hookadoo, morning, Miles Margaret. Dang, that storm was well over a month ago, but you have grit like the Lions. 100%. Yeah, well over a month ago, and the fact you're still recovering. Hopefully they get you guys all right as rain pretty quick here. Bo, plus they had a subpar quarterback performance. That could be what I was referring to. We'll just go with that. Robert, greetings, salutations, Dan and crew. Back at you, Robert. Pat. J-Mo, St. Brown, and Isaac with Sam. That's a lot of speed and size. Yeah, the receiver position, and I'm going to throw Sam Laporta in there along with, the tight end room. I just think that we're going to be a hard matchup for most teams. You are going to have to get to Jared Goff. You're going to have to limit the running game to limit all those guys. And to be fair, if I'm putting the number one corner, number two corner, if I'm playing zone, I'm shading coverage one way or the other, probably initially Isaac Tisla isn't getting a lot of those double teams or shaded coverages, so he should be the beneficiary of more ideal coverages. So we're going back to Tesla coach or Tesla coach. I wrote yesterday, but you did not get a chance to answer. Once in the open field, he runs like the legendary Crazy Legs Hirsch Hall of Famer wide receiver in the 40 and 50. Love it. I'll say this. You watch his steps. You watch his length. You watch his 3 steps. I'm with you, Silver Surfer. I think a lot of teams are going to come up and probably initially try to press him. But when I've been able to watch him, and I could be totally wrong, I think he sheds the press coverages from most defensive backs pretty easily. And now since his first 3 steps are so explosive, he will create separation. Now you look at his radius for catching. Goff's a pretty accurate quarterback. He lays that thing over the initial press. Tesla's going to be off and running. You're going to need a safety to now shade his way. And that's what I was saying a minute ago with, are you going to do that to J-Mo St. Brown or are you going to do it to Tesla? You can't shade coverage from 2 safeties on all 3 guys, let alone Laporta. Somebody's going to get one-on-one situations. I'm going to guess more teams are going to have to play a zone. The problem with the zone is if you don't get to Goff quickly, he will pick it apart. All right, Trim Reaper, Tesla will be a Pro Bowler, I think, in time, probably. Yep, I'm hoping so. Bo Miles making his way in a great white north. Yes, he is. David, Bo Booth, I'm the quarterback that killed your draft stock. Hey, I see what you did there. Hookadoo, have a great catch-up today, Henry Moore. There you go. Yes, hopefully it goes well. Robert, I say cook, baby, cook. Morning all. Hey, get that breakfast cooking. Moonscar, good morning. Duke Crew, back at you. Miles Margaret, Bo laughing. Bo, it's a heck of a thing, David. Yes, it is, my friend. Silver Server, by the way, Lions brought Isaac in to put him outside opposite J-Mo. Keep DBs worried. At Arkansas, many say he was underused and misused in the slot, but he knows his position versatility. Yeah, and the Lions have talked about that, the fact that they can move him around to basically all 3 of the primary receiver spots. I think that adds to his potential with the team. Robert might have something different to say after my wake and bake. There you go. Voltron, good morning. David, this was a good draft. It just wasn't a sexy one. I would agree with that. I would grade it to B overall. The Tesla trade did seem a bit steep, though. Yeah, the only thing I'm guessing, David, is my guess is the team we traded with had other offers at that spot. And because of it, the Lions had to make a choice. Do you want to beat out those other offers? Do you really want that kid or you want somebody else to get him? That's where I think ultimately it comes into play. But my biggest question about Tesla will be wearing a big blue bandana. We'll find out. Kurt Steele, the Dolphin is gone. Yes, he is, man. Yes, he is. Doesn't mean you won't see him again, though, this preseason. Good morning, Man of Steel. Any more? Love the updated thumbnail. Thank you for that. Trim Reaper, laughing. Bo, Kurt, no longer an iffy situation. I see what you did there. Mary, good morning, crew. Marcus, good morning. Dan and Duke Crew, exclamation point. It's going to be funny when the fake Lions fans change their tune on Tesla and he becomes a fan favorite. Could be true. Mark my words, fans will fall in love with him by preseason. Preseason could really make a lot of these guys jump out, especially since you're going to have a month with them versus 3 games. Coach Rock, good morning. All my granddaughter has been keeping me busy this week, staying over, but we talk a lot of Detroit Lions. Woo! Hey, I'm glad you're educating her early. Michael, this could be the year Lions raise the Lombardi. Could be. I like it. Eric, good morning. Dan and crew. Same to you, Eric. Make it a great day. JC, greetings, salutations, do crew. Hopefully you're having a good morning. Mary, new Lions welcome. Good pick grade, B+. I'm down with that, Mary. I like the way you're thinking there. A B+ seems about right. Eric, it's going to be another good season, 13 wins, and the first Super Bowl. I like it. And just for the Super Bowl idea, I tell you what, let's give you a... I like the way you're thinking. Big Dance, good morning, Coach Dan and the Duke Crew, exclamation point. I think we're going to have a hard time with cutting down to 53 players. Hopefully we get some practice squad. Oh, yeah, I think you're right. There's going to be competition everywhere on this team. It seems like the Lions way nowadays. Pierce, say yes to Haseen and no to Davenport. I will do just that. Keith, good morning and great salutations, Coach Dan and the Duke Crew. We are Super Bowl bound. Woo! I like the way you're putting that. Bo, the price to move up was obviously too steep. I'm happy with how things have turned out. I'm not slapping my head thinking, wow, could have had a V8. Hey, there you go. There you go. Who doesn't like a good V8? Robert, how many Lions get picked up at cut time and we can trade one or two? I could see a couple of guys being traded, and again, it'll be for late round, probably conditional picks, 7th round picks. But yes, Robert, I think there'll be a lot of players on this team that other teams will have eyes on at the cut down. Pierce, next offseason is going to be interesting. Who will stay and who will go? We'll find out. Courtney, Pierce, you are right about Ahmed. What a gem. Yeah, I think he's got a ton of potential. I think he'll run through a wall. He will make other players better on the offensive line because he's coming at them all day long. Bears, Courtney, I'm happy I can say yes to something finally at Edge. There you go. Courtney, just watched Rich Eisen piece with the kid. Yeah, it's a pretty good piece there. I thought they did a good job with it, and that's about a month, if I remember right, before the draft. Bo, Pierce, yes. Pierce, Courtney, he will be this draft's Rodrigo. Ooh, I'd live with that. Detroit, I bought my ticket for the Hall of Fame game this past Tuesday. Can't wait to see all the greats at the Hall of Fame. No, enjoy it, man. That should be a great time, and I'm glad they're having the Lions there. Pierce, Bobo's happy we can say yes to something finally. There you go. Courtney, yes, Pierce, you are right. Hookadoo, Ahmed is a beast. I think he will be, 100%. Silver, Coach, in the Buccaneers organization, there must be somebody who sees talent the same as me. Past 3 years, they got so many players I wanted for Detroit. Too many to be a coincidence. Just a thought. Maybe are you telling us, Silver, you work for the Buccaneers? Hey, there you go. Johnny Gaz, hey, great to see you, my friend. Good morning, Duke. Have a great day. Go Pistons. I'll be rooting them on tonight. Troy D, who else is going to the game in Canton? I'm not sure. I might actually try to swing out that way. If I do, I'll let you guys all know. Maybe we can have a meet and greet or something. Bo, Surfer, the Bucks Secret Santa. There you go. Mike the Rain Gunny. Howdy, Dan Naduku. Top 10 for offense and defense. I would take that. Woo! And there you go, Gunny. Good to see you this morning. Robert, love it. Exclamation point. Even the practice squad will be loaded. To be fair, last year, I thought our practice squad was pretty dang deep. I hope we can keep it that way. Southwest, it could be that Stafford trade. Will all them obvious good first-round picks be the reason people doubt Brad? Because outside of that, his drafts have been average. Gibbs and Hutch was a no-brain pick. I like the way you're thinking. Could be. We'll find out. All will be revealed in time. Rocky, defense wins championships, but Kurt Warner didn't need much of a defense. No, he did not. Silver, Coach, with the new OC, do you think it will be easier for new players to compete for a starting spot since they all have to learn the new things? Thinking Isaac, Ratledge, and others. Rat Pack, I see it. Sorry. Will it be easier? I don't know. But from a verbiage standpoint and familiarity, yeah, they're all going to be starting at ground zero, working their way up. I see what you're saying there. Robert, that would be a first. Lions with a top 10 offense and top 10 defense. History in the making. It doesn't happen often, but it has happened a few times in the past. Mark, go Lions. Go Mark. Good morning. Silver Bo Booth. I see him. Ken, good morning. Duke Crew. Woo! Back at you. Robert, the going all in Brad did. I'm cool with what's coming out of the kitchen. Hey, hopefully it is. Throw some hot sauce on it. Hookadoo. But why not have a great offense and a great defense? That's what wins championships. One pride. Lions. Exclamation point. Amy, good morning. Dan the Duker. Hopefully your knee's doing better. Hope everyone is doing well. What a crew. Exclamation point. What a team. What a great podcast. Roar, Lions fans. Roar now. There you go. And good morning, Amy. Have a great morning. Silver, by the way, Coach, Lions did resign Pat O'Connor, the defensive tackle. I thought they did. I just couldn't remember for sure off the top of my head. Man, that defensive tackle position, that's insanely deep for this team. Troy Paper, what up, Johnny Gaz? Yet, Robert, he looks very fluent for a receiver. Yeah, he moves very well. Again, I've talked about it before, his foot placement, his elbow usage, the way he gets in and out of cuts and breaks. I think he does a pretty good job coming in. I think he'll get better, though. So a lot of players come to Detroit because they know they will get a chance, even with no hopes of making the team. They will be able to showcase their talent for the teams or for practice squad. There you go. Probably correct. Bo, Brad Bionic draft picks. Bigger, faster, stronger. Sounds like a $6 million take there. Keith, might not make the team, question mark. Good competition makes everyone better, exclamation point. I agree with that. Look at the 97 Wolverines. That offense had to practice against that defense. Woo, make them better. Yeah, competition makes everybody better. See, Drum, Brad, that is cheap. That's why he only wants inexperienced free agents and rookies, but he acts like he's spending on his money. Yes, he is. I get what you're saying there, Drum. DM5 TV, just a question. If Goff wets the bed again and we lose early in the playoffs, are you guys still riding with him? If that happens, hey, you got to review everything, I would say, on a year-to-year basis. But, to be fair, he's won 2 big games. You could argue he should have won the NFC Championship game, whether you put it on him, the coach, Josh Reynolds, whoever, I don't know. Last year, I think we all get it. When he got his bell rung, he was probably out there concussed. With some of that, I do question, though, DM5, was some of the play calling, in part, what happened there with, Goff not having a great performance. And I do think you got to put Ben Johnson under the microscope a little bit with that. But, hey, I don't point the microscope at one person. I would point it at a couple different people in regards to the Lions' offensive performance. Pierce Drummer Davis, do you have to say Brad shells out money to our team? Oh, yeah, he does take care of our own players, our draft picks. Robert, there's something to in-house competition. There is. Silver Surfer, Bo Booth, are they going to cost $6 million getting nostalgic? We'll find out. We'll find out. Pierce, 6-7 guys making 20-plus million. Is good cap working? There you go. Yeah, spreading the wealth a little bit. Kerry Bradley is the chief. He's financially responsible for the team. That might be. Bo, just question DM. What if he doesn't? We'll find out. I am scared for the bags Gibbs and Hutch will get. They're going to get it in sooner versus later. Robert, he stood out on a 500 team. Yes, he did. DM5 TV, Bo Booth, that's what the hope, but answer the question. Yeah, we'll find out. Derek, right, Bo, question mark. What if the rest of the team doesn't wet the bed? We'll go with that. Silver, Jerome Davis, Holmes is trying to get the franchise going for years to come. Don't get caught up in bad contracts. Yeah, 100%. Bad contracts, especially if you start getting 2 or 3 or 4 of them with a lot of dead money, man, you really cripple a franchise. Kind of look at what's going on with the Miami Dolphins. Pierce, DM5 TV, I still believe Goff was playing with a concussion. I would agree. And to be fair, not to try to point the finger at anything, look at Graham Glasgow. I get he was beat up, but he let a lot of interior pressures get to Goff early, and we probably all remember the 3rd and 1. Really, if they make that 3rd and 1, they go in to get a touchdown. I do think the Lions probably would have held on and won the game. Been wrong before, though. Dave, the Hutch contract will hurt. Gibbs can be pushed with a 5th-year option. Yes, they both can be with a 5th year. Frank the Tank, Jameson Williams is not going anywhere. Think about Williams, Laporta, Gibbs, Montgomery, Tesla, Patrick Raymond, the man of the all Goff. Go Lions. Yeah, I think they're all going to stay here for a while. Silver Surfer, Goff was out. He probably was, man. Frank Tank Brown, Robert, soon will be the comp picks for the players that go elsewhere. Yeah, if we lose some of these guys, we will get some compensatory picks for sure. Bo, DM5, I don't expect the premise of your question. I don't accept the premise of your question. Fair enough. Pierce, David, I'd rather get it done sooner before another running back breaks Barkley. All right, we'll find out. Keith, I trust Brad Holmes, exclamation point, and everything he did in the draft. We drafted some strong players. We did, and hopefully they do well. Lions Blood, Broderick Martin, yeah, laughing. I'm hoping he can get going this year. And he wouldn't be the first guy to have to wait until the 3rd year to get some return on the investment. A lot of people laughed about Ife Melifanu. They weren't laughing by year 3 and 4. Same with Derek Barnes. I can remember a lot of people in the Duke crew back in the day throwing shade that way. I can even remember people maybe like 18 months ago throwing shade at Jameson Williams. That has turned around, though. So hopefully, I don't know. Maybe Broderick Martin will be a bust. I'm just hopeful because it would benefit the Lions that he's not. All right, Silver Surfer, they rang his bell and didn't know where he was. Yes, and the flag that never was, right? Although the flag wouldn't have taken away the concussion. Let's see, Southwest Tim Patrick is old, and with draft picks, we gave up for the kid. Why not play him early to see what he's got? I liked what I see out of the rookie. Wide out. Let's see him on game day. Yeah, and he might get out there, Southwest, sooner versus later. We'll see what the coaching staff does. Eric, I think with the right coaching, he's going to become a big-time weapon for us. Yeah, I agree with you there. I concur with you 100%. DM5, Bo Booth, hopefully, but not, but it's a possibility. Yeah, it's a possibility for sure. Gary, we lost during the playoffs due to coordinators. Could be a part of it. Could be the injuries. Could be a lot of different things that came into that game. Paris DM5 TV, do you think Goff was playing with concussion? Probably was. Robert, remember, he'll be working side by side with St. Brown. Yeah, I'm sure St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Tim Patrick, they're all going to help him out because they know it benefits the team. They want to win just as bad as we do. Bo, Silver, and that should have been a penalty. It should have. But again, even if they throw the penalty, you take away at least for a moment or two the touchdown. It does not take away the concussion. Kerry, injuries also? Yes, they were indeed. Mary, it would be nice to add some of the new players to the intro. Yeah, once I get some video on them, I'll try to do that. But right now, unless I'm going to use their college stuff, I would have to do it. Right now, I've got them, though, as far as them talking to media, etc., in the new intro. DM5, Pierce Sargent, possibly he was, but if my scenario does happen, we have to move on at that point. Yeah, if every year to year, I think we agree, most rookies, veteran players, whatever you want to say, people on the team get reviewed. Sad service. Why are so many hung up on the Broderick Martin? He's the third-round pick. Kirby was the third-round pick. St. Brown, a fourth-round pick. And Barnes, a third. Get real. It is what it is. People, they get a target site. They go after the target. Silver Server, Eric Minion, Sr., better leave alone the coaching and get on with the coaching. Just playing fellow. Those smartphones are a mess. Yeah, autocorrect gets me all the time, man. And, hey, my own spelling gets me all the time. Let's be honest. I misspell my own name half the time. Pierce, DM5 TV going off the contract 2 more years, so he comes back next season regardless. There you go. DM5 at this point, you got to cut your loss with Pierce Sargent. Bo, as long as the prospect makes it into the rotation, I see what you did there. Pierce, DM5 TV, cripples the cap. Keith, Tesla will be awesome, exclamation point. Just like the Lions, go Lions 15-2, Super Bowl bound. Give me the new, don't have a new one yet. I mean, at least until I trim it up a little bit more, but I'll give you this one. And where you go. Brian, good morning, everyone. Health permitted. We are Super Bowl bound. I like the way you're thinking, Brian. Bradley, what do you got? Let's see. Whether you like us or don't like us, learn to love us because Detroit Lions are the best thing going today. Exclamation point. I agree with you. Phil, good morning. Back at you, Phil. Frank, the thing, even if Broderick Martin doesn't make it, do not question Brad. Play kids, YouTube. You cannot know football. Yeah, so to your point, Frank, I get it, man. Even if we miss on one draft pick, Broderick Martin, think about this. We're still hitting on roughly 80% of our draft picks. That's not double the NFL average, but it is 30% higher than most NFL teams. That's a pretty good mark. Brian, let's go Pistons. We'll be rooting him on tonight. Derek Goff is a top 5 quarterback. You just don't move on because he had a bad game or two. Get clue? Quarterbacks like Goff are few and far between. It would be easier, and I know Brad Holmes said this, it'd be easier to get worse at the quarterback position. Had to say, it would be easier to get worse than better at the position. DM5 TV, think Tesla is going to help us out a lot this year. I hope so too. Ken, we were 15-2 with a depleted defense. Exclamation point. I'd say that's pretty dang impressive. As an almost 60-year-old fan who has preached about building and maintaining a top offensive line, awesome draft for me. Yeah, I really liked it for that reason alone, amongst others. Robert, top 5 offense, top 10 defense. I would take that. Bobo, amen, Ken. I'm in, whatever. Let's see. Come on, I have enough. There we go. All right, Server Coach. Another thing you could not read yesterday. I think Zaboom's nephew is not NFL material. I gave him guaranteed money as part of a friendly deal with Smith to, quote, help his return to Detroit. Could be. Totally could be. DM5 TV, Derek Lewis. If he wets the bet again in the playoffs, he's not a top 5 quarterback. I'll go with that, man. So then we'd have to look over at a couple other quarterbacks in the NFL who have not done well in the playoffs. Who knows, though? Here's what we can say about Goff at this point. He's made it to a Super Bowl. He's taken 2 different teams in the NFC Championship. He's been the best playoff-winning quarterback for the Detroit Lions since the 1950s. So how about that? Michael, I'm with you on that. Ken Ross. Derek, how many times has Tom Brady had a bad playoff game? DM5, I can think of several. All right. Iceman, seems like a Tesla was a unknown. Why would we get him in the 1 and he looked so white? All right, that I don't know. Greg, man, see Ducru. Good morning, Ducru. Tesla has attitude. Yes, he does, man. Especially you watch the tape, and I get Brad Holmes talking about it. That's what drew his eyes to him when he was just pancaking people out there at the Senior Bowl, and he was kind of smiling, grinning, laughing about it, and getting to the point where he was being so physical with the defensive players, they were complaining about it. Brian, Goff's top 5, no matter what anybody says. Every quarterback has a few bad games besides the GOAT Tom Brady. All right, I'll go with that. David, did Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen wet the bed every year in the playoffs, so I guess they aren't any good either. There's that part. I mean, have either one of them? Yeah, I don't think either one of them even have. Yeah, I don't know, man. Neither one of them have won a Super Bowl. I know Lamar hasn't made the Super Bowl yet. Has Josh Allen made it? I don't know, man. I'm not thinking this morning. Need a morning Mountain Dew. Kerry, Martin, and Scoresdale are on the clock this season. No leap to the next level. Management will say, see it. Yeah, I'd say they're both on the hot seat without question. Ken, you don't need a top 5 quarterback to win the Super Bowl. Remember, Trent Dilfer was as bad as he was, and he was bad, he won a Super Bowl. Yes, but he did have one of the greatest defenses of all time. Let's see, DM5 TV, Derek Lewis, no competition for Brady, and Goff. You're reaching, my friend. Fair enough. Bo, last year's playoff loss was the result of a perfect storm of circumstances. To put the blame on one player is a bit biopic. Yep. Yeah, I would say, to your point, Bo, I think you're spot on. The depleted defense, both coordinators, it's just tough, man, because they both have to make family decisions, business decisions. They're both trying to do those interviews, win coaching jobs, head coaching jobs. And you can say what you want, man, but I doubt either guy was as normally prepared for that game as they would have if they didn't have those interviews. A lot of different stuff in play. How about that? Brian, yes, they did, David. Go Golf. Fair enough. Todd, if one of the draft picks don't work out, then the others do. That's a win. Yeah, if we only lose out on one draft pick, then you probably had a pretty good draft. Derek, I'm comparing the men. I'm comparing the situation. Good quarterbacks have bad games. You don't let them go because of it. Fair enough. DM5, David. Yeah, if we had either one of those guys, we're already Super Bowl champions, don't you think? Who knows, man? I don't really know. Bradley, Detroit Pistons versus refs might be true tonight. Robert, Tesla didn't have eye-popping numbers because the team was not that good. Yes, probably a lot of truth to that. Ken, if this team can stay healthy, this team could win a Super Bowl with Joey Harrington as a quarterback. Laughing out loud, exclamation point. When was the last time the Lions team had any depth? This team is stacked with depth. They are 100%. All right, we got about 4 minutes left. I'm going to go through, try looking for people who haven't been on as much. Leonard, good morning, coach and crew. Tesla, Ahmed, Ratledge, Frazier, with all contribute eventually to this team. Yes, and I think probably sooner versus later. Keith, any more? What was going on that you are going to see a cardiologist? Question mark. Whoever it is, prayers, my friend, prayers are with you, my brother. There you go. Let's see, Kerry. My best part of the draft, Green Bay fans saying Chicago still stinks after every pick. I like that indeed. Yeah, that was pretty good. Let's see, Leonard. I hope Tesla, Ahmed at the Hall of Fame game again. I think they'll both be out there and playing. David, hope Tesla plays good, so I don't have to hear about Brad giving up 2 late round comp picks for the next 4 years. Yeah, let's hope we don't have to deal with it. Kerry, I've never seen another team with as many injuries go 15-2. That's an outstanding point. If you can think of another team, especially with all those injuries on one side of the ball, and still they went 15-2 and still lost in the playoffs by, was it 6 points, I want to say? I'd say, William, you should see how many trees are still down up here, unrealistic. I wonder what they're doing with all the trees. Hopefully they're doing something with the wood. I had to clear my throat. All right, Nick, thanks, Coach Dan. You put together a great show, my love. Hey, no worries, man. Glad you like it. I love doing it every day. I'd say, Robert, B+, picking up the end of every round. I'll take that every year, 100%. Late in the draft, each round, and still you potentially found some outstanding picks. David, J-Mo threw a pick in the Washington game, and Gibbs fumbled in the NFC Championship game. Players make mistakes. Yes, they do. And I think, again, I know I've talked about this a number of times on the show. You watch MCDC's body language on that play. Yeah, he was less than happy going into that snap. Derek, get over the DM5. Golf is going to stay. Probably true. Earth Steel, what up, Duke Crew? What's up, Man of Steel? Joe, what would it take for Tesla to do on the field to no longer be too steep of a trade cost? Does he need to have 1,000 yards, Hall of Fame, nothing, asking for a friend? I think as long as he goes out there and has a good career, most fans are going to jump off. There's always going to be somebody that says, hey, somebody else drafted somebody else in the 3rd round, and that guy ended up being a Hall of Famer. Well, if you could just be right on every pick, every team would be very successful. Nick, good morning. Brad and MCDC have done an awesome job with this draft. Maybe the critical fans will finally appreciate his efforts. Maybe not. Leonard, I hope we'll see and meet Coach Dan at the Duke Crew in Ken. I'm going to have to talk to John about that. I think that'd be a great time. Probably good weather still, summertime. That would not be bad. Ken, prayers, Henry. Hope for all good news, sir. 100%. Kerry, wait until you see who the star picks out of this draft really is. I think they hit a diamond in the rough. I think so, too. David, this was a good draft. Just wasn't a sexy one. I'll grab it a B overall. The Tesla trade did seem a bit steep, though. Yeah, I can get why people would say that about it, for sure. Southwest, Mahomes laid an egg in 2 Super Bowls. KC fans are not saying trade him if you don't find a quarterbacks that are good overnight. Goff is top 5, period. Yeah, and that'd be the other thing. If you want to get rid of Goff, Who do you bring in and say, that guy's an upgrade? How do you get that guy? We always hear people, and I shouldn't say always, but there are fans that don't like Goff. I get it. But who can we get that is clearly better than him? That's my question. When you get rid of a player, can you get in somebody who's going to be better than the guy you're wanting to get rid of? Larry, Brad, and Dan are making decisions for the long haul, and they have more info than 90% of the fans. Go Lions. I'll agree with that. Southwest Josh Allen never smelled a Super Bowl. I did think so. I thought that was right. Though, I would think Zadarius Smith is holding out until training camp is basically over. Yeah, probably true. That's where my mind's been this entire time. Trim Reaper, Goff will prove the haters wrong this year with a Super Bowl ring. Wouldn't that do it? Egon, I've said it a few times. Goff has a better playoff record than Lamar. And without looking at the numbers, he probably does, man. Trim Reaper, have a great day, Coach and Duke Crew. Woo! Back at you, Southwest. People juggling Josh. I'll go with that. But he never smelled a Super Bowl. Lamar lays eggs every year. Yeah, and they neither one of them been able to get past the Mahomes machine. Bo, happy trails, Duke Crew. All done and dusted with Goff. Hate for another day. See you tomorrow. We'll see you then. David, Keith, though, I think you are right. He does want to do 200 up and downs every day. Maybe true. Southwest, that injury bug can go somewhere else this season. Let's hope it does. DM5 Southwest Howler, you'd take Goff over Mahomes. Yeah, right. I don't know about that, but how do you get Mahomes here? So we can all say Mahomes is better, but how do you get him to Detroit? Again, if you get rid of Goff, who do you bring in that is better than Goff? All right, Brett, prayers, Henry, good luck, 100%. Keith, David, in my opinion, I'm pretty sure Holmes Brown used to wait until training camp was basically over to sign with the team. Yeah, probably true. David, Barry did the same thing. Non-laughers, it's funny, I played with Arkansas in NCAA. Tesla was a beast in that. Hey, good to know. That's some inside information. DM5, so am I. In fact, nobody will take Goff over Mahomes. Maybe true, but again, Mahomes can be the best quarterback in the league. He's not in Detroit. So how do we get him to Detroit to replace Goff? Who do you get that is better than Goff, and how do you get him to Detroit? Brian, injury bug to Chicago. Let's hope it goes to all the NFC North. Southwest laughing. All right. If there is breaking news later today, I'll get it over to you as quick as possible. If you guys would be so kind before leaving, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, hit all the buttons. Be a good human being. Do something kind for someone you don't know. And we'll see you all in the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.
Excuse me, sir. Would you... Donations to the Reverend Moon? Jews for Jesus? Read about Jehovah's Witness? How about Buddhism? Help Jerry's kids? Oh, yeah. Scientology? Or nuclear power?